The wait is almost over. The NFL Draft is mere hours away. And on this edition of Ravens Rundown, I'm bringing you Mock Draft 5.0, my final mock draft before the Ravens make their selections. We'll go over every pick and break them down, give our thoughts coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, want to make sure you're subscribed to the channel for Ravens draft coverage all weekend long, as we are going to break down the picks as they happen in real time. Any potential moves that the Ravens make, whether it's a draft, trade, whatever it may be, we're going to talk about here on the channel. Lock us in. Help us reach our next goal of 16.5K subs on the channel. Don't miss a moment. You will not want to miss anything of what we're about to bring you this weekend here on Ravens Rundown. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's set the scene for you here and begin with the draft order for the Ravens. It all gets started at pick 30 in the first round, followed by a second-round pick at 62, third-round pick at 93, two fourth-round picks at 113 and at 130. Then the back half of the draft, a fifth-round pick at 165, sixth-round pick at 218, and two seventh-round picks at 228 and at 250. The team needs for the Baltimore Ravens, this is a team that's very close. And so this is a team that's just trying to get a little bit better to get over the hump, right? Big focus is the offensive line. Also trying to find some pass rushing help at the edge spot. Corner, wide receiver, safety, just to name a few of what the Ravens are looking at. So let's go ahead and get to the Ravens pick here at 30. We've run through the simulator through Pro Football Focus, as we've done with these mock drafts. And the 5 picks ahead of the Ravens, here's how it played out. The Packers went receiver with Adonai Mitchell. Somewhere Aaron Rodgers is laughing. Then at 26, the Bucs go Nate Wiggins, corner from Clemson. Cardinals go 27 with Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner from Bama. 28, the Bills go Jackson Powers-Johnson, center from Oregon. And then another duck off the board. 29, the Lions go with Troy Franklin out of Oregon, the wide receiver. So who is left for the Ravens? Well, it's actually worked out pretty well for Baltimore. We've told you over the last week or so that there is a concern if the Ravens stay at 30 that the offensive tackles could be gone. Well, it worked out for us pretty well. Tyler Guyton's still there. Jordan Morgan is still there. And then we have a couple other options as well. Chop Robinson, the edge rusher from Penn State. Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Florida State. Brendan Fisk, the defensive lineman from Florida State. So, who do we have the Ravens selecting? Dun, 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 dun. With the 30th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Oklahoma offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. Oh, man, I'm excited about this one. We got our guy, Tyler Guyton. He was the guy that we took at our very first mock draft for the Baltimore Ravens. Tell you more about Tyler Guyton. Played for the University of Oklahoma the last 2 seasons, began his career at Texas Christian, was a Big 12 honorable mention this past season, and Kuiper has him as the number 6 offensive tackle, number 30 overall player on his big board. So right where the Ravens pick at that 30th selection. The thing with Tyler Guyton is he's very raw. He's still coming into his own, learning the position, a very big guy at 6'7 plus, but still learning how to get the most out of him. It's kind of a project of sorts, but a lot of potential here. And you can see, even with still learning, didn't allow a sack last year. Overall grade is 64 there with the Sooners. I think with drafting Guyton, you're looking at him potentially being your long-term left tackle, replacing Ronnie Stanley down the road. The scouting report on Guyton: towering, long frame and lean, packs heat on contact with size and power, naturally a strong anchor, flashes patience and pass sets. He does struggle with consistent leverage at times. So let's ask you, should the Ravens draft Tyler Guyton? What do you think about that pick for Baltimore at 30? Why for yes and for no? Weigh in on our pinned comment today and let us know what you think. The most exciting addition this offseason for the Baltimore Ravens was bringing in King Henry himself, Derrik Henry, to Baltimore, which should be a lot of fun, especially if Tyler Guyton's blocking for him up front. And here's what we got for you. To celebrate the arrival of Derrik Henry, we have Derrik Henry jerseys for men and women. Also got the shirtsy option as well for you And you see the purple on your screen. We also have the black. We have the white. All sorts of different options for you to choose from. All different shapes and sizes and colors. Chatsports.com/King Henry is where you can get yours today. Check it out now while supplies last. Chatsports.com/King Henry. These things are going hot. Get yours now. Chatsports.com/King Henry. To the second round we go. The Ravens go wide receiver. This is where we find Western Kentucky's Malachi Corley with the selection. Dubbed as the second coming of Deebo Samuel. That sounds intriguing for Todd Monken's offense. Played for Western Kentucky the last several seasons. Led the nation in yards after catch in 2023. A two-time first-team All-Conference USA selection. Mel has him as the number 11 wide receiver, number 42 overall player, and he has seen his stock rise quite a bit over the last several weeks. Last season, 79 catches, nearly 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. The year prior, 101 receptions with nearly 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns for Corley. He's thick, a running back-like frame, which makes sense why you compare him to Deebo with the way we see the Niners work Deebo as a running back at times. 5'11", 210. Great strength and balance, very good hands. Stags throws outside of his frame. He does have a little bit of a limited route tree, though. We go to the third round. We get a bit of a steal here. We find Bralen Trice taking care of the edge position of need for the Baltimore Ravens at 93 overall. Trice, a two-time All-Pac-12 selection, the MVP of the Sugar Bowl this past season. Mel has him as the number 7 outside linebacker and number 77 player overall in this year's draft. Was a big part in helping the Washington Huskies reach the college football playoff and get to the national championship game. His numbers this past season included a grand total of 49 tackles, 7 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and 80 pressures. He's got quite the knack of getting after the quarterback, if I'd say so myself. The scouting report, good size, thick build, gets off blocks well, strong at the point of attack, good motor for hustle plays. He does dive at feet too much at times as far as that goes. But overall, very good value for the Ravens. They get their Jadeveon Clowney replacement in the third round. I think it's a good fit here for the Baltimore Ravens with this pick there in the third. What's the Ravens draft strategy going to be? Very curious what you guys think. Is this team going to lean towards more best available or team needs? What do you guys think? Type B for best available, T for team needs, what you think the draft strategy looks like for Baltimore. Live coverage of the NFL Draft is going to be on Chat Sports as we get things going Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, as we'll break down every single pick as it happens in real time. You'll see me from time to time, Tom Downey, Matthew Peterson, Jack Sparrow, our entire crew, as you will not want to miss it. We'll break down every single pick from Thursday through Sunday. I got to tell you, I cannot wait. Join us beginning Thursday night live on Chat Sports' NFL Daily, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. Don't miss out, beginning Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. To the fourth round we go, and we continue the trend of finding value. This is where we find T'Vondre Sweat, who was one of the best defensive tackles in all of college football this past year for the Texas Longhorns. With this pick, a unanimous All-American, the Big 12's Defensive Player of the Year. At one point, Mel had him as the number 2 defensive tackle in this draft. He ended up sliding all the way down to number 8 and the number 87 overall player. A huge fella, over 360 pounds, but he still plays well even with that size and that weight that he brings to the table here. Last year, accounted for 45 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 31 pressures. The scouting report, as you can imagine, a guy that's as big as him, a massive human with a thick lower half, takes on blocks well against the run. He concedes no ground against double teams. No stone goes unturned when it comes to T'Vondre Sweat. Active hands as a pass rusher. Conditioning needs a little bit of work, which you'd probably expect with a guy that's 360, but nonetheless, a very good football player and a guy that could be a nice rotational piece right away for Baltimore. Staying in the fourth round, we go safety, taking care of another need for the Ravens with Cole Bishop out of Utah. A strong tackler, a versatile defender, and you got to think John Harbaugh and company are going to find ways to be creative with how he's used on the football field. We go to the fifth round now. That's where we take care of the linebacker spot. Patrick Queen's gone. Trenton Simpson's expected to be elevated to that starting role, but you need some more guys to provide depth. That's where Trevin Wallace from Kentucky comes in at 165, a sure tackler with solid movements that he brings to the table there. We'll wrap up the rest of the mock draft in a moment, but first, who's a player you want the Ravens to draft? We've named several players already, got more to come, but now's your chance to be the GM here on Ravens Rundown. Who's your guy? Let me know who you would like to see the Ravens draft. We go to the sixth round now, 218. That's where we find Boston College corner Elijah Jones. I know we waited a bit at the corner spot, but we couldn't pass up on some of the other guys that were available when they were there. Very good route recognition, high football IQ, a smart football player. I would expect Jones to compete for playing time right away when it comes to his potential fit with the Baltimore Ravens of what he could do with this team there. We go to the seventh round now, 2 seventh-round picks. A very familiar name, Frank Gore Jr. Yes, the son of the legendary Frank Gore comes to Baltimore. We know the Ravens are bringing in Derrik Henry. Keaton Mitchell's probably not going to be back till October. You need some depth in that running back room. Frank Gore Jr. could be exactly what the Ravens are looking for. And we know that the Ravens have dealt with a lot of injuries at the running back position. Good news for Baltimore. Frank Gore Jr. is durable, and he is a sturdy running back, my friends. You'll like what he brings to the table, not just a big name. Our final pick, this one might be a surprise to some folks. I'm going quarterback here. The Ravens don't really have their answer at the backup quarterback position. It's not Josh Johnston. Malik Cunningham, I think, is more of a wide receiver. Austin Reed out of Western Kentucky. Pair him up with Corley together from Western Kentucky, and I think you got a good fit. And when you look for a backup, you want somebody that can kind of run the offense similar to the starter with Lamar Jackson, right? Well, with Austin Reed, he's very mobile, and he's got the ability to improvise, kind of like what we talk about with Lamar Jackson. I could see him being the number 2 quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. So how did I do? Grade the mock draft for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Anything less than an A, you are a hater. Let us know in the comments section. So to recap our Ravens mock draft, we went Guyton in the first round, Corley in the second, followed by Bralen, Trice, Devondre Sweat, and Cole Bishop. Our final 4 picks went with Trevin Wallace, Elijah Jones, Frank Gore Jr., and wrap things up with Austin Reed, the quarterback from Western Kentucky. Who was your favorite pick from my mock draft? Of the 9 players we selected, which one did you like the most? I really like Corley, personally speaking. I like the value of Devondre Sweat. Those are the kind of 2 that stand out for me. What was your favorite pick? Let me know. Thanks for joining us here on the channel. Continuing draft coverage all weekend long. Don't miss a moment. Lock us in. Subscribe now. We'll see you here next time on Ravens Rundown.